Hi guys! Today we're going to teach you how to do this gorgeous poodle hairstyle. Along with these vintage styling essentials, we'll also be listing the specific products used within this video in the right hand corner. To start this poodle hairstyle today, we're going to be using a curl set throughout the entire length of the hair. We're using a pretty small curling iron for this style. I think it's about 16mm, and of course we've used setting spray and thermal protection spray before we go in with those curling irons. So as you can see, as we work through each curl, we're using pin curl clips to set all the curls in place so they have plenty of time to cool down, so we've got excellent curls to work with for our poodle hairstyle. All of the curls we'll be doing are facing downwards and in towards the face. You can alternate these curls as well if you'd like, but we can kind of play with the direction that all the pin curls go within the poodle hairstyle. So it doesn't necessarily matter, it's just maybe personal preference. For this tutorial we're going to be using the same direction of curls throughout the hair, coming away from the parting. So once you've fully curled the entire length of the hair, allow those to cool for about 20 minutes or so. Obviously the longer you allow to cool, the better the curls are going to set. So once it's all set, you can start removing the pin curl clips, and what we've done is just brush through all the curls with our fingers first, and now we're going to go in and do the individual sculpting of the curls. For this poodle hairstyle, we find it a little easier to start from the front and kind of work your way around the head, gradually building up this poodle style. So as you can see, we're starting in the fringe section. What you can do is start to really mold the curls with your fingers and with the brush, and what we like to do is kind of bring the first few sections that are kind of the outside of the poodle and actually sculpt those into little pin curls and pin in place for those to kind of set. It's easier to pin these initially with pin curl clips rather than actually clipping them in, just so you have a little bit of room to kind of move them around if you'd like to. And then what you can see us doing now with the rest of the hair is this kind of ruching, kind of layering effect. So what we're doing is grabbing lengths of curls at a time and just holding the tips, we're going to ruche down the hair and kind of break up those curls a little bit. What you can see it doing is kind of really building up volume, and you can see it still keeps the curls intact, but it just really, it's a nice way of building volume rather than going in with back combing, because then it can get a little bit too scruffy. If you kind of ruche them, you can see the curl definition is still kept, but we've got an excellent volume. So as I mentioned before, with the poodle hairstyle, there's not necessarily a set rule that you need to take, but if you combine these ruching techniques and then sculpt the outer layer of the hair for the pin curls, it just creates this really gorgeous look overall. So as you can see, once again we're going in with the front layer of the hair and then doing some more structured pin curl styles, and then we're going to continue to kind of build that hairdo up as we move along. With the poodle hairstyle, a lot of it, the more you do, the better it looks. When you initially start, it can look a little crazy, but just keep going with it, because obviously the more you sculpt and the more hair you bring up onto the head within the poodle hairstyle, the more like a full completed hairstyle you get as you move along. So just keep working with it, keep using the pin curl clips to kind of sculpt as you move along. So as you can see, with this section of hair, we've taken it and not done the ruching, we've kind of blended it through with our fingers to get a nice defined kind of curl. And what you can do is take the length, pin that where you want it, and then let the rest of the curl actually spiral forward and start to cascade throughout the hair. So you'll see what we've done again. So we've brushed through so it's nice and smooth, so we can get a really tight base basically to the head, and then we've brought the length up and we've clipped that length but left the remaining length of the long hair kind of sit and cascade and really create those lovely spirals which the poodle is built on. So as you can see, the poodle's now starting to take shape. So like I mentioned, the more you do, the better it looks. So just persevere and just have fun with this hairstyle. It's a really creative to do. You know, it looks different every time you do it. There's no like set pattern you need to follow, particularly apart from just building that ruching and the pin curls around it, just to create a really nice full poodle. One of the most important things is to make sure you can see the way we're flattening the hair against the head. You want to make sure that flat part is really nice and neat and tidy, and then you have this volume of curls on top, because that's the way the traditional poodle's kind of meant to look. So as we move around the head, what we're doing is bringing the kind of roots of the hair really flat against the head. And what you need to do is actually bring the length flat to the head, brush that nice and neatly, and then clip in place just under where this main volume of curls start. And then what you can do to hide those clips is to bring those cascading pin curls over the top of the clips, and then kind of pin in place and add a little bit of structure to it. And that's a really nice way of building up the initial shape, but without seeing too many hair clips poking through. So the classic poodle shape is really brought more towards the front of the head, and then you're just going to keep building that hair up and around there. So as you can see, we're still using that technique where we bring the length up and over, and then allow those remaining lengths of the curl to actually cascade and spiral and create the lovely pin curl shapes. So as you can see, again, we're bringing that shape really far forward over towards more of the forehead area. And then obviously again, this stage looks kind of funny from the back, but once we bring the entire rest of the hair up, we can hide those clips and we can hide that kind of unstructured area at the back. So you can see here how we're bringing the length of the initial kind of root of the hair flat against the head, pinning in place, just using a straight hair grip across that, and then bringing those curls over the top of that, and then hiding that kind of structure that we've built. So we're going to continue doing this now that we've kind of worked through the main volume of hair on the crown. We're going to start building the flat portion basically. So as you can see, we've used a fine-tooth comb. The root of the hair is pushed flat against the head, pinned in place like so, and then you can bring those curls back over the top and kind of build that into the poodle hairstyle. So here's a closer look again. You can see we're flattening that base of the hair down, pinning in place with hair grips, and then allowing those curls to cascade over the top and form the gorgeous poodle hairstyle. So obviously our model has pretty long hair here. This style does work a little easier with longer hair. I'd probably suggest you can do it if maybe shoulder length and longer. Even if you wanted to do it with shorter hair, you would just really go in with a pretty tight curling iron so that you can really get some curl definition in there and kind of build up a little fake poodle almost, so you can have all the little pin curl details on top and then kind of bring the rest of the hair at the back into maybe a French twist. So it's really easy to get all those different shorter layers up into the hair and then have those curls on top of it so it kind of sits on top of that French twist. Alternatively, you could also use hair extensions for this poodle hairdo. What you would need to do is clip the hair extensions going upwards. So you know, traditionally you would clip them facing downwards to go in line with your hair. If you clip them in facing upwards towards your crown, then you can brush your own hair over the top of the extension wefts to hide them, but you can use all of that length within the poodle and the pin curl kind of hairdo. So hair extensions are a really great addition to this poodle hairstyle. So as you can see, we're just moving through the entire length of all the hair, just building up that poodle piece by piece, and just really taking our time and structuring it and just having fun. You can also see really nicely with this shot the different directions that each of the pin curls can go. So some of them can swoop under, over, they can go clockwise, anti-clockwise. It's all about creating different shapes with the curls that we've already done. To complete the hair at the back and bring this style together, you can see we've taken the length of hair, basically it's from around the nape of the neck, ear to ear, and we're bringing that completely up over the top of the crown really, and we're pinning in place like we have been doing throughout the rest of the sections. So we're doing a couple of flat hair grips along that length of the hair to keep it all in place, and then bringing the length of that hair over the top of that, and then covering up those clips with the pin curls and kind of cascading spirals of curls within the poodle. So with the poodle hairstyle, you just want to make sure everything's really nicely pinned up, especially these flat portions of the hair, because obviously it's a 360-degree hairstyle, so we want to make sure everything's nice and tight and in place, and then build up that poodle around the final bits that we've pinned up. To finish off the style as well, what you want to make sure you're doing is bringing the, I suppose, outer ridge of the curls within this poodle. You want to bring those curls up and over so they're covering the clips that we've already popped in, and it just kind of finishes off the style really nicely around the outer edges. And then once you're happy with the style, you can then go in with your hair grips. You can use the traditional hair grips or curvy grips. You can also use the split pins as well, whatever your personal preference is and whatever feels most secure for you. So as always, once you're kind of happy with the style, you want to make sure you take those extra few minutes to finalize everything, do your final definition, smoothing, pinning in place, work with your hairspray, and just really make sure you spend those extra couple of minutes at the end just to refine everything. I think that's the difference between a really polished hairdo and something which, you know, might be a little bit scruffy or anything. You just want to take your time and just make sure you've finished everything really nicely and smoothly so you have a gorgeous hairstyle. So like I mentioned before, the poodle hairstyle is just a really fun hairdo to create. You can use the different techniques that we've shown you, using the pin curls, using the ruching, using the cascading spirals as well. It's just a really fun style. You can make it your own, you can make it as big and wild as you want, or you can make it a little bit more defined with each individual pin curl. But it's a gorgeous hairdo to do. It's a great hairstyle as well because you can get a good few days out of it once everything's really pinned in place. So yeah, just have fun with it. The poodle is a fun hairdo. We've been using hairspray throughout this style just to define all of our curls, but once you're finished, you want to finish off with a really strong hold hairspray to set that hair and lock it all in place. And here you have our completed poodle hairstyle. It looks super cute, super fun. Just use those different techniques that we've shown you and create something that works for you. We hope you've enjoyed learning with us, and thank you for watching.